to the MoxStars podcast. I am Menace, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Rampage.
And not just Rampage, we got the whole crew back. Let's go, baby.
We got the squad, baby. We got Annihilator.
Usually it's more like, and I'm here. Wait, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
This time we went right into it. I'm here. We're both here. Nobody's gone. Nobody's traveling. Nobody's sick. We're both back.
Yeah, dude.
We're back with a plan.
We're definitely here with a plan. We're the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering, Dr. Pepper, show docs, plans, and
Organized
shows and going in one take, no cuts.
One take. We'll do it live.
Here we go. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Here's the thing in Magic the Gathering world. There's so many things that happen every single day. But before we get into that, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also support us on all podcasting platforms by leaving us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool. You can also find us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead. For $3 a month, you can support the show on Patreon. Have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red on the Discord server by joining the Pepperhead tier, or you can have your name turned lime green on the Discord server by joining the fan club, the MoxStars fan club. Our supporters are Mac Oyen, Definitely Jeremy, Mono Greg, UWP Court, Will Rule, Ryan G, Adam, and Person. Thank you all for your support. You are the best. In MoxStars news, immediately, yesterday we got a new subscriber, and his name is LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Yes, LeBron James following the show. Now, we only have 624 subscribers, but the quality, the density, we talk about card quality and density all the time.
Quality over quantity.
And the density of quality here is just insane. We got LeBron James.
Yeah, it's all about what you know.
He's already messaged us and offered us
courtside tickets.
A lot of money.
Yeah, well, through gifts.
We're not going to do
gifts.
what he wants us to do, though.
Yeah. He called and asked if we could
tried to
buy him
a thing.
Yeah, he said if we went out and we bought him Apple gift card, like Apple iTunes gift card at the grocery store, that if we just bought it, that he would pay us back for it. And
that's what you got?
That was, I talked to him on the phone.
Oh, I got a very different message.
Literally, LeBron James, star of Space Jam 2, just got on the phone, co-star to Don Cheadle, got on the phone with me and said, hey, can you walk down to your nearest grocery store and buy PlayStation Network gift card, Apple Store gift card, and stuff like that.
You should do that.
Yeah, well, I walked down there and I looked. I just didn't have them. Otherwise, I totally would have bought them for him.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did that once. I'm still...
And then he asked me, when I do find someone, I do buy him, scratch them off, send him a picture of the thing on the back, and then, he'd Venmo me the money.
I heard LeBron James played professional basketball for like years just to be in Space Jam 2. He trained in the NBA to be a part of Space Jam 2.
It's called committing to the role, and I think it's something that not enough actors do. Right? I think
method actor.
He's a great actor. He's an okay basketball player, but he's a really, really good actor. And I think it's important that we, delineate where credit's been due on this guy for a while.
He had his goals in mind right away.
Yeah.
Kind of like me, Kind of like me here.
Yeah,
on the MoxStars podcast.
A lot like LeBron James.
I'm committed to the bet.
Your toes are also really
weird looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen LeBron's toes too.
Well, I've seen yours.
Oh, you haven't seen my toes.
You weren't awake.
I feel like we've all seen your search history now.
Yeah, hey.
I didn't have to search for him. I just looked.
If you're also supporting the show, you can also support us on Etsy. I'm going to find the page where we have an Etsy store. Check it out, where you can find all of our tokens that are available. Get your hands on the sickest tokens on the market. On top of that, talking about purchasing cards.
These tokens have made an appearance, right? We got to see these tokens live and in action. It benefited our gameplay recently. Is that correct?
It did. It did. On this week's Play of the Week, we have the second sickest, maybe the sickest. I don't know. It's 1A and 1B Mirrorform plays of all time, right? All right, let me set the stage. You can find the video on YouTube. It's right here. Bracket 3 Mayhem, Animar versus Shorokai versus Selvala versus Eshki. We had Flugenheimer as one of our special guests on there, and Tordeth as well. Rampage and I on the show as well. And I'm on Animar because I'm really loving this deck, and I really just want to give it as many reps as possible to really see how efficient it is, where I can improve it and make changes. But another successful game where I turn 1 of Birds of Paradise because I'm playing bracket 3, right? Turn 2, Cradle Clear Cutter. Turn 3, Eternity Elevator into a Felwar Stone. It was disgusting, right? Right off the bat, just a great curve. Nothing broken.
But mana.
But I had a lot of mana, like right off the bat. And my opening hand had a Mirrorform in it. So I was pretty excited, right? And then turn 4, I rip a freaking Nexus of Becoming off the top, and I drop that baby. I'm a big fan of that card. If you've never seen it,
play with it once, and then see if you don't want to keep playing with it. It is truly a game-changing card. Not that it's game changer level type power, but for 6 mana, if it sticks over the course of the game, you are getting a card draw every turn, and then you are getting a free put a creature or artifact into play effect, which is crazy. Usually you have to pay for those individually. This is a one-time upfront fee to do that for the rest of the game.
There's usually cards that are like, pay 6 mana, put 2 creatures from your hand onto the battlefield. Like,
I just think of the one that's 4 mana, it's an artifact, and you pay 4 and you tap it, and you put any creature from your hand into play.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. But this, turns them all into artifacts and 3/3s, which is also very, very circumstantially beneficial to strategies such as the one you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine you build your whole deck around it.
And then you make your whole deck into them.
Yeah. So, it's like you drop the Nexus of Becoming. I pick up a card. It's a Lightning Greaves. So I put a Lightning Greaves down. And this is the value of the card, is that it can turn even small things into valuable bodies. So early in the game, this is turn 4 going into turn 5. But I now have a 3/3 Lightning Greaves, and then I'm able to cast Animar. So I have Animar, Lightning Greaves, Felwar Stone, Eternity Elevator, Nexus of Becoming, and I can't remember what else was on the field. And I dropped and I played a Mystic Remora as well. So it was like at lower powers, Mystic Remora doesn't do a lot, but in this case, when Rampage is on Shorokai, it did a lot. It did a lot. We actually got into a counter war, and it was really kind of it just fed me. It gave me the answers I needed. But
that's when those effects are the strongest, is when the stack starts getting tall.
Yeah.
It's like, do something or we lose, and then you do something and you still lose because it netted more value.
And they might have drawn the exact answer.
Yeah, like you had an Arcane Denial under an Isochron Scepter, and your activation copies the spell and then casts it without paying the mana cost. So that cast gave me another card, and then that cast gave me the redirect lightning that I needed to save my Nexus of Becoming, because that next upkeep, when I had to pay for the Mystic Remora, I decided, hey, here's the time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fire off Mirrorform in my upkeep. So tap out for 6, target Nexus Becoming with Mirrorform, and I have 7 other non-land permanents. So everything is about to become Nexus Becoming. I'm about to draw 8 cards during combat and put 8 things onto the battlefield. And that seems pretty good. That's why I wanted to do it, right? So then we get into it, and Rampage, I'm like, all right, does this happen? And then Rampage goes, no, just quick, no. And Machine Over Matter, and then I have a Deflecting Swat, because that's not a game changer for some reason. push that away, bounce something else, and then he goes to activate the Icecrown Scepter, and then I draw the Redirect Lightning, and I point the I can't remember if no, that wasn't it. You Machine Over Mattered second. You tried to counter the Mirrorform first.
Anyway,
I got to turn everything into Mirrorformed into the Nexus Becoming. I picked up 8 things. My first my second pickup was a Trophy Mage. So I put down a Teleportation or a Conjurer's Closet, and then I put down a Trophy Mage going to get the Simulacrum Synthesizer, and next one was a drop of that, and then all of a sudden my board is full, including a Kinnan, Aloy,
which are now also artifacts.
Kinnan, Aloy, Enduring Vitality, a Relic of Legends, and a couple other things, right? So I could tap all my creatures, or my legendary creatures, for mana. This is an important ruling with actually Rampage and I talked about off camera earlier today, but note that Relic of Legends, when you tap a creature for the activation to add 1 mana of any color, if you're talking about Kinnan, if you tap the Relic of Legends to add mana, its first ability, you will get 2 mana. But if you tap a legendary creature to add mana, that does not net you 2 mana. You only get 1 mana. You are not tapping the creature or tapping the non-land permanent for mana. You are activating the ability to add mana of the Relic of Legends, which is not the same as tapping a non-land permanent for mana. So you would not get the additional mana. So I wouldn't have been...
If you look into the Kinnan ruling, like you go to Scryfall, there's like specific Kinnan rulings. It says the card has to have the tap symbol on it. That's what you're looking for.
Yep. So there doesn't really matter at this point in the game, but I've now spilled out my hand. I have a bunch of Constructs. The following turn, I just load the board with like 50 Constructs and then just punch through. It was so satisfying to see Mirrorform just pop off. And I am a huge advocate for the card. I think it's super fun. It has its limitations, but I think nonetheless the ceiling is... I'm still finding the ceiling.
Yeah, ceiling's crazy.
Like there's not a...
Having that many permanent copies of a permanent does not happen very frequently, and so it is really truly like finding the ceiling always. I mean, this feels pretty nasty because you're doing a thing that begets other things, right? Like that's kind of I feel like the best use of the card is anything where you're creating copies of token generators or you're creating copies of things that net you cards. So, you're making things that will now make more things as the game goes on. But just the power of this card is nuts. It's very weird and unique, and that's
that draw clause I think is super important and is a great point. I imagine like there could be games where you pay 6 for this Mirrorform and you get a copy of a really strong thing, and then you pass turn, no cards in hand. I spent my whole plan was to do this Mirrorform play. Okay. Next turn, draw a card. Oh, it's a land. Put it into play. Pass turn. Like it has to like do something.
I think one of the best applications of this is going to be in the artifacts or the enchantment builds where you build it off of. You say like, oh, this is my Enchantress Presence. I'm going to make all of my non-land permanents into this, and then cast one little enchantment.
Right.
It's like suddenly paying that 6 mana was worth it immediately because you're going to draw 6 cards at least, right?
Yeah, and it's. Like it has so many weird angles too. Like, yes, you can turn it into something like this, like the Nexus Becoming, and then you get this crazy shoot out of a cannon, draw however many cards for Nexus you get. And then it has the alternate angle where it's like, oh, someone's board wiping right now. Or like someone
make them all lands.
Turn them all into lands.
Yeah.
Like ramp yourself.
Like crazy.
Yeah, like you're already at 6 mana, so like what is that turning all of your things into your best land or all into command tower is going to do for you? Yeah. Like, and then on top of that, it's like whatever your commander's doing. Speaking of redundant effects, we'll get into here in today's discussion, but like whatever your commander's doing, you're probably already playing cards. If you're in blue, cards that support that strategy. So like if you're in blue, you might as well throw Mirrorform in, because turning whatever your 6 permanents that are sitting out there into a doubling season or into a whatever, or whatever your commander's trying to do, turn them all into propaganda. You're protected for the rest of the game. Like kind of nice. So there's a lot of upside. We can talk all day. This is the MoxStars podcast, number one podcast on the internet for Teom, Luminous Enigma, and Mirrorform discussion. All right. Play of the week. It was super awesome. If you'd like to see that play, you can check it out on YouTube where we have the gameplay video up and live. Hoping to get more gameplay videos on the channel and for your viewing pleasure. All right. There was a thing on TikTok/Instagram, a reel going around that caused Rampage, myself, and Annihilator to stir and discuss. And we really wanted to talk about this because it's important to the format we play. It was a clip of Rachel Weeks of the Command Zone talking about consistency in Commander, how redundant effects and the amount of redundant effects that have been printed into the game have sort of ruined the singleton nature of the format. So I've just pulled it up here. I'm not sure. Really, more than anything, I just wanted to look at
card quality of my decks. Consistency isn't necessarily a bad.
I just wanted to highlight her
ripping the redundant
reading the
effects out of your
teleprompter
decks
more than
just
anything.
Yet, most Commander players play their decks only once or twice a month, so it makes sense to try to ensure that they perform well on those special occasions. When I build a deck for game nights, I only get one shot with it, so I try to build in a way that guarantees a solid showing. Building a deck that functions well can be really rewarding. It's a great aspiration for burgeoning young deck builders who are still developing their skills.
Burgeoning. Did you hear that? Burgeoning young deck builders. I think that this whole discussion, this is a whole episode of podcast here. It's only 21 minutes long, but I think it's a worthwhile thing to go through and check out. You can find the link for it in the description below. But we just wanted to extrapolate on some of these comments, because more than anything, I don't really stand in line with this. Like, I think redundancy is great, and it has been printed. Like, there are so many different effects that have been printed into existence. Like, for example, earlier in this episode, Rachel goes on to say that there are 12 particular copies of Rampant Growth. Like, there are all with different names, right? There are, 10, 24 to 28, maybe 30, 2 mana rocks that exist out there, all with different color combinations due to, guilds and whatever. And then there are 22 versions of Explosive Vegetation. So 4 mana, grab 2 basic lands. So and then there's this notion, this concept that now, with the amount of redundancy that we have in EDH and in Commander, these Commander decks, which were designed to be singleton, to make them less consistent, more fun, are now more consistent than your everyday standard deck, because of how many standard constructed, you have 4 copies of any given thing. Generally, these effects are very powerful and they benefit from having multiple copies of it. But given that there are 12 versions of Rampant Growth, it's like, well, I'm not running 100 card. I'm running a more consistent deck than something that would be in constructed limited to 4 versions of that effect. So I just kind of wanted to pick.
If you're running 12 copies of Rampant Growth, your deck sucks.
Yes. So this is
just throwing that out there. If you're running 22 2 mana rocks in your deck sucks.
Yes.
That's cheeky, but I will say that there is a limit, right? I think that is the unspoken part of this whole thing. I do think that this is an important thing to talk about, that, we are reprinting effects constantly, and it actually does become a bit exhausting, because sometimes what ends up happening more than not is when they reprint an effect, like, say, the example I like to use is like Soul Sisters. For many years, the Soul Sisters decks, or decks that involve the Soul Sisters, right? There's 2 1 mana white, 1 creatures that whenever a creature enters, you gain a life. Those effects, right? There were 2 of them. And so for years, if you needed this effect in your deck, you ran both Soul Warden and Essence Warden, or Essence Warden in green, or the other white one is
Auriok.
Soul's Attendant, right?
Yeah, and then there's the Auriok.
And then there's the 2-mana ones. But my point is that they started reprinting this effect tacked onto other things. They started reprinting this effect and the aristocratic effect tacked onto other things with like artifacts and whatnot, where, whenever a creature dies, now it's whenever a creature or an artifact hits your yard, right? With like Marionette Master, all these things. Yep. When you're building your deck, your brain kind of goes to the default one, the Rampant Growth, the first printing, the Soul Warden. Right. But now we have all of these new versions, and some of them are marginally better, like objectively better.
That's the thing. Little by little.
They by little make the first printing obsolete. So when she's saying there's 12 versions, you're going to run the best 3. You're not going to run all 12, and you're probably not going to run the bottom 3, right? You're going to run the Nature's Lore instead of the Rampant Growth. You're going to run the Farseek instead of the Rampant Growth. You're going to run the thing that gets you something marginally better than all of these other versions. That being said, with all of these different versions being printed of all of these different effects, what ends up happening is you get a bit lost when you're trying to build a deck, because there are so many things that do it. But there are only so many slots. And as years go on and we start to have all of these options, I don't think it really becomes a point where your decks are getting more consistent, because there are only so many slots. If you're building a very, very competitive, let's say life gain combo deck or something, or ramp deck, you only have so many slots to give to your lands. You only have so many slots to give to creatures that tap for mana. You only have so many bombs in your deck. And once you really finely tune a deck, and you know this if you're an experienced deck builder or experienced cube designer or anything, you only have so many slots, and you know that you start replacing cards with things that do similar things, but maybe a little bit better or a little bit more consistently.
Yeah, you play
and they only
enough.
Come by every so often.
Yeah. You play enough and you start understanding the ratios that are necessary to have a successful strategy.
Right. You want this many pieces of interaction, this many pieces of ramp, this many pieces of draw, this many pieces of protection, right? You start having those. They may print more. They may print more redundant effects. And yes, that will make decks on the fringes more competitive, because they will be more consistent, because they have more options to do the narrow thing they want to do. But overall, if you're a good deck builder, I don't think this is like a cause for alarm. I think it just makes it so that it's a little bit more of a headache to delineate which specific card you need.
Yeah. Right. I think that every set now we're getting this, because there are so many sets that are coming out. We're always getting that 2-mana, like that 1 in a green, grab a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tap. Sure. We're getting that now. They're creeping up on that becoming a regular thing, because now it's becoming 1 in a green plus set mechanic. Yeah. Like, or 2 in a green plus set mechanic, like type thing. Like Edge of Eternities was 2 in a green. Or it was 1 green mana to create a lander token, right? And then you could pay 2 to tap the lander token, sacrifice it, and go get a basic land. So 2 in a green, but you got the effect of an artifact entering the battlefield, and an artifact leaving the battlefield.
And at Baldur's Gate, you had 2 in a green, venture into the dungeon, find a basic land, put it into play, tap, or gate.
And now you have, with Avatar: The Last Airbender, 1 in a green, shared roots.
Yep.
That's a lesson.
Right.
So there are all these things that are just like, they're just, sprinkling in the spice of life based on how the set is designed, with a redundant effect. And it's making the design process a lot easier to churn out multiple sets over time. Wizards of the Coast has definitely found the formula to create a successful draft format. And now there's this notion that the amount of redundancy has taken away the singleton spirit of Commander, due to the immense amount of product being injected into your markets. So that's...
And the thing is with that, I could see the complaint being that it gets boring if the singleton effect is completely lost, and it does truly feel like a 100 card, 60 card deck where you are just running 4 of each effect. But I just feel is very rarely the case. I have pretty competitive decks, and I don't feel like my decks have a ton of super redundant cards. They have cards that accomplish similar directions, putting cards in the graveyard, getting lands into play, trying to surveil or dig, right?
Yeah, card advantage.
But they're not doing it exactly the same way, and they synchronize well with each other, right? I think that's what really pushes a deck over the top, and I think that's the thing that this argument is maybe missing a bit, which is that if you run 4 of the exact same card, at a certain level, you're not doing more. You've got 4 of the same card, and
you're not
reason
maximizing.
Singleton is great is because you get to run more diversity, which actually does enable you to do these bigger board states, these bigger explosions with more moving pieces.
Like, you don't get Mirrorform plays like that with running the same effect over and over. The Mirrorform wouldn't matter. Right.
If you had 4 token doublers, Mirrorform would be a dead draw. Yeah,
and plus, here's the thing: if you have a redundant effect that your commander likes, this is the one thing. If your commander could do it all, right?
It's a toolbox. It's a Kenrith or whatever.
Draws cards, reanimates things, puts counters on stuff, and you had 4 of any one effect that you wanted to just like magnify that one thing that Kenrith does really, really, really well, then sure, I guess it's sort of like, I think you're still wasting your time. Like, you're still wasting your time trying to magnify those things. But
I think the place that this really does change the format the most is with the power level, the average power level of decks, right? Where like a few years ago, if we did the same bracket system, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd say maybe 5 years ago, the 2s and 3s would look very different. And I think the consistency between them would look very, very, very different, because it would really depend on the commander, because some commanders didn't have a whole lot of support. Now it feels like every commander has a ton of things. Every single merfolk you could ever imagine, every single typal support you could ever imagine, every single counter synergy you could ever imagine has been printed. Every single food, token, artifact, every single effect, every dragon you could think of has been printed, right? So it's like, now the thing that really changes it is having another deflecting SWAT. Having another
that type of redundancy.
When they start printing
the power.
Flexible slots for like interactive pieces, that's when I start feeling like, this is going to start feeling less like Singleton.
Right. Rampage, has it affected your deck building process at all?
The whole, what Rachel, I think, was getting at is a super easy argument to make when you choose what effect you're talking about. So, ramp. So there's a lot of ramp options.
Almost cherry picking.
Right. Well, a little. Token doubling. Yeah, there's some redundant token doubling options. I 100% agree, and you're saying some true stuff there. That's fine. I can't argue that. The point I want to argue is, one, does that matter? You get 22 2-mana rock options. You're going to go to your commander, you're going to see what works with it, and you're going to order those 22 in lists of from 1 to 22. You're going to sort them by best to worst, and then you're going to play the top 10, or you're going to play the top 12. And the person sitting next to you did the same thing. And that is more and more apparent as you increase in power level. So you see CDH deck building, right? The homogenization between all types of builds, they're all on Mana Vault. They're all on Lotus Petal. It doesn't matter that there's redundant effects in those, in whatever that is, ramp or counter spells or
40
tutors,
slots are decided already.
They're going to pick the best ones. Yeah. And I think we all do that. Now, if I'm playing bracket 2 or bracket 3, I'm going to pick the best rampant growth effect. I'm not going to, or I'm going to pick the one that synergizes the most with my commander. So you can just say that, but it doesn't matter. They can print 1,000 rampant growth effects. I'm still only going to play the best 10. So redundancy isn't killing my commander deck building boner. It's the same thing over and over again.
It's like this it's like his argument that it's like, I got so good at deck building that now it's boring.
I think that this is not to interrupt, but I think that that's what you just said was a really good argument for the difference between a 2 and a 3. was that
Sure.
if you make that mental list, right? Because like there's somebody we play with pretty consistently who I know he has a personal thing where he has some decks that are not modernized. They are all decks pre-modern border revision. So they're all like pre-mid 2015. And so some of the options he's playing are not the most, if you put them in the order of like the 30 versions of that twiddle card he's running, it's maybe towards the bottom, right? But because it's nostalgic and it's got that old border, he's selecting it. I think when you start making those kind of deck building decisions where you're like, I'm building off of a theme, and even though there are a lot of cards that do something similar to this, and maybe there's one that's pretty much made this other version obsolete, I'm running the obsolete version because it's nostalgic, or it's a pet card, or it fits in well with the theme of this deck. I think that's more of like a kitchen table too, right? Like that's more of that spirit. I think that's a really good way to
the
define
original
it.
spirit. Yeah.
Versus, a 3 is like you're only running those top
refined. It's literally the definition for bracket 3 is refined.
Yeah. You're refining those lists. There's all these redundant effects, but you're only running the very best.
Yeah.
And the other piece is pick a different effect. There's so many cards that don't have a redundant effect. You mentioned Mirrorform. I'm thinking like Emery, Lurker of the Loch, Ophiomancer, right?
Yeah.
There's not redundant Ophiomancers. There's one treasonous ogre.
I don't know how people have moved past these things. Like Ophiomancer is actually legit good.
It's never not been in any cube I've ever built. It's one of the best 3 mana black cards ever printed. It gives you a death touch blocker on every turn that you can sack every turn.
It's
really
really
insane.
Good. Yeah.
Annihilator, that sounds like a really good effect you just described there. My budget doesn't allow me to purchase an Ophiomancer. What other thing would you substitute for an Ophiomancer?
The thing is I have other things that I run in this slot in the cube at 3 mana. I think of the thing that makes a goat that has escape for 5. What's its name? Woe Strider, right? It's great. It gives you a body, but it gives you one body one time. And it gives you a sack outlet on itself, which is great, and it can come back later, but it's one time. There's nothing else that gives you a death toucher that you can sack every single turn with no downside. It's not Bitter Blossom. It is literally every single player's turn. If you do not have one, you get a new one.
Yeah. Like Ophiomancer is great. Right. And like
it's also $1.
When we do. What budget are you running?
Yeah, I was going to say, your hypothetical.
It used to be
apart.
It used to be way more.
It was $10 for 10 years.
Yeah.
Until it got reprinted.
It was a hard card to acquire for a long time as well, since it was only in Commander 13. And then
just
its
Commander
second
Collection Black was the big change.
And that was not until 2022.
Yeah.
So
for 10 years, it was about $9 to $10. I remember because I had to run it.
Yeah. So the argument for like very unique effects and stuff like that, the one tool, now this is sort of a tandem wombo combo on, slamming Command Zone a little bit. And then I'm also going to slam another series of content creators here.
Oh my God.
The boys at edhrec.com.
Let them go. Beat them up.
Now
these asking for all the smoke today.
Yeah, I'm not holding back.
He's like, I got LeBron James on my roster. I'm ready to.
Literally.
I don't care who you got, man. I'm going for EDH rec. I'm targeting. I'm gonna come for Nintendo. Let's go.
We want a lawsuit on this podcast. The one thing that I will say about EDH rec is that while very early in Commander's inception, this was a very helpful tool, and there are times when I still build a new commander and I will jump in and just see maybe I'm missing something obvious.
Yeah.
The thing is that the lack of funding in education in the United States has led to less critical thinking, and a lot of new players, when they get in, kind of want to grease the wheels when they come in. Like we were sort of handed cards as kids, right, and just told to like put a pile together, figure it out, and then strategize and use critical thinking to figure it out on our own, right? And that's how I learned how to build commander decks on my own. I didn't have this tool. But now this tool exists. And the problem with it is that every new player is recommended to use this tool, not as a thing to maybe make them recognize something obvious that they were missing, but this has created structure for every deck, that this tells you exactly what card you should be playing, the high synergy cards, how many decks it's in, the percentage of cards, all that stuff, right? And it's led to this uniformity in deck building that you see across all tables across the country, across the world. This is one of the most popular websites when it comes to building a deck. I can't imagine that you introduce someone to the game. How are you teaching? What resource do you give them? To find cards, for a commander.
My thing with EDH Rec that I often tell people is it'll give you a decent skeleton for some of what the deck that you want should if you have a commander in mind, it's good to look at the average deck. The other thing is I typically recommend Moxfield, and then I say filter by views for that commander and kind of look through the different designs, because if you go by views, you'll see the most popular or maybe most shared lists first.
Yep.
And then as you start going down, you might see ones that have similar budgets but very different focuses. So that's kind of what I like to. One thing I do a lot in my life is I like to compare two things and kind of find the through line. And with Magic, I do that a lot, where it's I'll hold up one list that really prioritizes one thing. And I mean, recently with Ashaya, I'm working on a paper Ashaya deck that is really gross. And my initial draft was pure gross.
It's so gross.
It was pure gross. It won by turn 3 or 4 super consistently on the Moxfield playtester, which is crazy because they don't give you lands on the Moxfield playtester.
No.
Get any. You're not allowed more than 2 lands.
It's a worst case scenario machine.
It's literally worst case scenario machine.
Yeah.
But it was consistently winning turn 3, turn 4 on that. So I was like, man, this is too much. It's all on the combo. I do want to have some big foresty creatures. I do want to have some funny, splashy casual plays. And Rampage had a list that was very, very much the opposite of my list. I think we had maybe 25% of the same cards. And there were a lot of soul cards that you had that I loved, right? With sacrifice a forest, prevent all combat damage, buyback,
yep.
Right? That's hot. It's super cool. It's something you can run exclusively in this deck that's really annoying. And I wanted to run some effects like that, right? So I started looking at his list. I looked at my list, and I ended up designing something that really kind of honored both approaches for my paper build. And I think that's sometimes a really good way to pull inspiration. I think there's a lot of people who say the term net deck with a lot of vitriol. I think people, if I say, oh, are you did you net deck that, right? I think a lot of people are too embarrassed to tell the truth about it. And I think that's fine. But most players I play with, especially at stores like Mox, especially at stores where there's very big people are coming with quivers of 30 decks, man, they're all just edhrec.com /commander/their commander /average deck. And I've said that as a diss to some of the players I've hated playing with the most, right?
And they're like, yeah, dude, duh.
If they don't have a comeback for it. And the thing is I don't really care if you net deck, but if your net deck is a really boring, and that's the thing about consistency. I'm trying again to tie this all in with the video we saw earlier. Mm-hmm. I think that's the ultimate downside of printing redundant effects. If your commander, say, is Veto, or it's Toph, right?
Yeah.
The Metal Bender.
Sure.
You have a commander in your zone that obviously does one really potentially gross game-breaking thing.
Yes, it does. And everyone's mind goes right to it.
Your mind goes right to it, and they start printing 4 copies of that effect, 5 copies of that effect. If your commander is Chatterfang, and over the years it's gone from just Pitiless Plunderer to now it's half of every effing
Warren Soul Trader
card that's ever been printed, and your deck is exclusively every redundant copy of that card, I don't care if you're saying it's a 4. The problem is it's boring. You're not finding alternative routes to get there. You're just trying to do that one thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is you're not CDH level because you're not trying to turbo win. You're not trying to lock out or stacks out other players. You're not trying to have a ton of interaction. You're just building the most hyper specifically consistent, degenerate version of a 3 or a 4 that you could. Usually it's like a 4 because usually they put in, when you do the average on EDH rec, it never limits the game changers and it ends up building 4s almost every single time because it puts in like all the most used game changers. It doesn't know how to like filter through, and very few people have been tagging the bracket even though they added that feature. Once you select a bracket, the average number of decks goes down by like 90%. Right now it says there's like 2,800 decks. If you select the bracket right now, it'll go down to like 10.
I don't even know. I am so technologically inept.
Here, go up.
Yep.
Right now it says 2,800 decks.
Annihilator.
Go to 2. Go to select.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Look, 300 decks.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So the data that they have for these things is very, very minimal. People have to self-report their deck as a 2 or a 3 for it to be taken in as that. So it ends up biasing only specific strategies in this way. I have a lot of opinions about this. I feel like people get all of their information online and then they show up to the store only having looked at it online, not having played with it virtually on any simulator or anything. And then they start playing against strangers and it's like, hey, your deck's boring and really miserable to play against.
Yeah. You ever seen that?
It's not fun.
This is what Magic, like in some sense, has become. I'm not sure if any of you grew up watching Nickelodeon and the Fairly Odd Parents. But
great show.
Do you remember that episode where Timmy accidentally wishes everyone into being gray blobs?
No, I wish everyone was the same. I do remember this.
Yeah, I wish everyone was the same.
Yeah, everyone is the same, and everyone was just a gray blob that walked around, and there was no like identifying thing. He had a pink hat on. Yes. And they quickly stomp that shit in the dirt. Yeah. They're like, no, you can't have that. That's sort of the problem with EDH Rec and what it does and what it's been doing to the format. So now this episode of Command Zone has really brought it to the light because how many people have seen it? They have 842,000 subscribers. So it's like a majority of the Magic the Gathering world or people that play Commander have at least heard this or watched the reel that both Rampage and I saw. Man, it really does create there is a section of the Commander community out there, and there's one of them sitting amongst us who goes against the current, who walks the path less traveled.
Oh, man.
And there's this new concept coming out, and it's called Commander. And
there can only be one of there can only be one.
Yes. and Rampage has been practicing this for how long?
Probably 2 years now.
Yeah, 2 years.
Do you find it difficult to build new decks with the restriction?
So for the audience, what I did once upon a time, every little girl's dream was to complete the 32 deck challenge. That's what I did. I have a deck in every color combination.
Right.
The tough part after that became, well, what now? You know, how do I keep iterating? How do I keep my deck building brain happy? I'll do this new thing, which I coined Commander, which is amongst any of my Commander decks, there is only one card. So I don't care how many times Rampant Growth has been printed. There is not enough of that redundant effect to fit into every green Commander deck I own. So it forces you to iterate. You have to do research. You have to dig. Menace, you asked earlier, how do you build? Like, what's your method? What's your style? I've had to get really good at using EDH Rec as a resource, knowing how the Scryfall search engine works, watching plenty of gameplay videos just to find that one card that fits that one niche of the thing I want to do to fit into a deck. I am very blessed. Annihilator, you had a Chatterfang example earlier. The thing I see the most is Zada, Hedron Grinder.
Oh, yeah.
Who up grind in their Hedron. I am looking for every single effect in that deck that says target blah, draw a card.
Right. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them cost 1 red mana.
They all go in that deck, and so my list for that is 40, 50 cards, and I have to sort them by which ones give me the best effect.
Right.
Obviously the 1 manas take precedence. The 2 manas are in close contention, and then I got to find out which one makes a treasure, which one draws. Okay. But this one's cheaper, but it draws and then discards. Do I really need the card advantage, or do I just need the card selection? So it has helped as far as this whole diversity or redundancy piece. Learning what cards exist and trying to play niche options. I always play for that look across the table when somebody sees a card that they haven't seen in years, or an effect they had no idea existed. I live for those moments. Yeah. And doing this gives me that opportunity. Every time a new set comes out, there's always 10, 15 cards that are the next best version of an effect that's already in my deck, and I get to make those swaps. Yeah,
that's unreal to even for the longest, I guess for maybe the last few months, I would say last 3 or 4 months, I've had this struggle of building, I built this Animar list. I built an Annihilator deck. I've had Abzan decks in the past, and I have plenty of Naya decks and stuff like that. They always seem to rotate around green and red or green and white. So I have a very uniform structure to how I want to see game plans unfold, or how I want to develop mana, card advantage, and stuff like that. But this, when you introduced this concept, which I hadn't even heard of until this year, I was damn, I don't know if I'm going to put myself through that, but it's such a great way to shake things up and get a fresh perspective on what's actually available.
Yeah. Yeah. It forces you to, which, a lot of times you're not going to do it unless you have some defining theory behind why you're limiting your deck building.
You got to make the commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you go to build a Golgari deck, you're going to play the same 30 lands as your other Golgari deck. You're going to play all the Golgari mana rocks. You're going to throw an Assassin's Trophy in there. 60 of the cards in the deck are already solved. So when you're building a new deck, you're only really looking at 40 new cards instead of 100, which should be the challenge, should be the fun part.
You telling me that you don't have more than one Blossoming Marsh in all of your Golgari decks?
Yeah, I guess I should add the qualifier in there. I do not count basic lands. Okay. I can play multiple basic lands across my deck.
You got it.
But the old adage is restrictions breed creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So by making a deck, and you can do this in other ways. It doesn't have to be Commander. You can do a $100 budget.
Yeah.
$100 budget CDH.
Yeah. This is
okay. Now we're thinking.
Yeah, boundaries create this environment for creativity, right? Where if you are just exposed to the endless bounty of Magic the Gathering cards that exist, you are going to be so overwhelmed and lost. Because everybody's going to tell you what's better than the next thing. And that's part of it is that it's a huge community. And so a lot of people have very strong opinions about particular strategies, particular cards. That's not good. This is better. And when you hear those things, you start to question your own judgment. But if you're confining yourself to these restrictions and you have, it's basically a mantra that you stick to, this is this is what I do. This is how I build decks. I always build within $100 budget, and I always do this. Then no one can come in and tell you like, this would be better. Like I could make it better. It's just like, no, I made it for me within my own limitations that I set these boundaries. It's better to set boundaries for yourself so that you can grow upward rather than outward. Tallest tree gets the most sunlight. So.
Yeah. What is it? There's a cycle of them. The 2-mana rocks that come in tap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Sky Diamond and stuff.
Yeah. Like
Sky Diamond, Fire Diamond, whatever else.
Yep.
Charcoal Diamond.
I'll play one of those, and people will be like, Arcane Signet exists, right?
Right.
And I'm like,
that's in my Teom deck. Can't play that. That's something that I've found just in life in general. It's better to sort of like work within boundaries. And I think bracket 3 has sort of been the boundary that we're working with now. Like,
I think bracket 3 has the most fun games. If you guys
Sure.
are all playing good bracket 3 decks, I think the ceiling and the basement for what the game can be or would be is fun. I think, again, the only time it's not is when one person is playing just a super predictable, super consistently
slow
the
or
same
boring
deck, or a really non-interactive deck. Yeah, or a player who's just kind of a poo-poo where they're like, oh no, you interacted with my thing. I'm not used to that. I like to sit inside and play with myself. You're like, okay, well, do that at home then.
Yeah, they're like passive aggressive because
go cry about it at home and stay at home forever.
I do want to acknowledge that commander deck building is very difficult. I understand the people. I don't think it's correct. I think you should do some research. I think you should iterate. You should hyper focus on it like I do. I've had newer players ask me questions about deck building, and they're like, "What should my ratio between instants and sorceries be? And about how many of each should I play?" And I'm like,
5 sorceries, 14 instants, 28 lands to 30. You can go up to 30 if you're not feeling so risky.
It's just an insane question because there's so much context.
It doesn't.
Yes,
it's a meaningless question.
It's
like
preference.
It's like saying how many pieces of cereal should you eat in the morning. It's like, well, what do you?
But they don't know that. They have no idea. Everyone has the conversation we've had many times on this podcast. How many lands should I run? And Menace says, you should run 4 lands, and that's it.
Yeah. If you run 5 lands, you're scared.
Hey, there's a Memnon deck that literally runs 8 lands.
Yeah. There's also a mono red deck that runs 96, I think, and it wins pretty consistently.
Yeah.
But
I love that deck.
People hear that conversation and they're like, you should run, depending on your power and your mana and your curve, you can run between 30 and 35 lands. Okay, cool. All right, I'll write that down. How many creatures should I play? And that question just doesn't work the same. It's super daunting. People, the command zone used to have a template, a deck building template.
Yes. Another tool that's harmful to the new, they're talking about burgeoning Magic players and their growth and their learning and stuff like that.
Play 38 lands.
Those tools are destructive. They're destructive. They're not constructive. We should be like those little inserts that they put in the pre-release packs, right? You should play 18 basic lands in your thing. Dumb. Don't do it. Play 15.
It is. Annihilator kind of said it earlier. It's great for a skeleton.
Yes.
Yeah.
But don't stop there.
No, the skeleton is good. The skeleton is good. You can get the skeleton there. You can see what the big engine pieces are, the pieces that everyone runs. And then from there, when you want to add the meat and potatoes, that's where you go to Moxfield and you start digging. You start digging through. You start seeing what people look on the fringes. Start being like, "Ooh, what's this?"
Yeah, like you can use, I think, the template if they're like, yeah, run 36 to 38 lands, sure, but that is not your template for the rest of time. Like
also as the deck develops, right?
Yeah,
I think that's the other thing. Decks are Magna Cartas; they're living documents. They're not. There's no list, especially with the number of cards that come out, and with these reprints that she's talking about, where there's going to be a marginally better version of this card every year. There's going to be a marginally better version of that card.
Yeah.
So it's like, your deck, I have a few decks in paper, and I have a cube, and I find that I've had a cube since I was about 16. I used to have a 720 card cube. Then I had a 540 card vintage cube. Now I have a 200 card cube. It's very tight. And I found that the way it was too much to manage a 540 card cube, because every time a set came out, I had to switch out like 3 cards. Mm-hmm. But with 200 cards, you only have 25 cards of each monocolor and stuff. It's like, man, I only switch out 1 card maybe every 3 sets. And I like that.
Right.
So I limit myself from updating my decks and updating my cube until every 3 sets. It's like, okay, you know what? Now I'll start adding in some Bloomburrow stuff, and I'll see what else I need to take out. Because the thing is I think people lose a lot of money in second guessing themselves. They build the deck in paper, they get it, and then they're like, oh, that felt weird. That game didn't go that great. I need that. It's like, you've gotten
fix it this way. Yeah.
You got 1 rep in, man. You got 1 rep.
Yes.
It's like taking your shoes out of the box, running a mile, and being like, they felt kind of stiff. It's like, give them a second. Give them
you're going to return those shoes. They weren't perfect.
Give them a second. You're going to return the shoes and buy other shoes. It's like, just give it a second.
Yeah. And shoes that are $20 more expensive, because
give yourself some more reps.
They're probably
and then,
better.
Typically you only need to change a couple cards, and you don't really know what those cards are until you've seen them more than one time. That's the other thing. A lot of times we cut cards we never see. It's like, I've never seen this. If I did see it, I don't think it would do that much. Wait till you've seen it a couple times. And in the cube, that comes up a lot. It's like, I like having it small because we get to see every card every time we draft it. Even with 2 people, you get to see every single card. And so when you're, making all of those deck building decisions, you end up being like, man, this one could be replaced with that new thing that does it a little bit better. I just recently trimmed the 6 mana Elspeth from Theros for the Dragonstorm Elspeth, because I've finally decided that it's just objectively better.
Yeah, and especially in that format. Yeah.
It's 1 mana less, and it does all of the same things better.
Yeah. Speaking of redundancy and consistency and getting your hands on cards, this is a bad habit that I've been building lately. Now that I have all the time on my hands in the world, right? There was this thing I did about 8 years ago, and this is like not financial advice. I have to legally say this.
This is financial advice.
I have to legally say it's not. But
you will make millions following this plan. Yes.
If you do this, you'll add inches to your
Card Kingdom hates this one simple trick.
Your wallet.
So whether you're shopping on Card Kingdom, TCG Player, or whatever, they're pretty much the same. I was doing a lot of research today. A lot of the prices, when you include shipping and stuff like that, are just very much the same. So do whatever you want. Choose whatever platform you want to do. But what I have been doing, and this is what I used to do way back, and this is how my strategy for speccing on cards was I would take a look at the the sets from a little bit over a year ago to 2 years past, right? So something like Edge of Eternities, and I would pick it up and I would go to the variants selection. Now that we have collector's product, before we didn't have it, so I would just go to the set and then go for, instead of sorting by price high to low, price low to high, and then hit foil, right? And then I would just get the premium version of every single card, and I would go through and I would look, right? And some of these cards see a lot of play. And this is one of those things where I would just start throwing things in my cart, because before Card Kingdom was 25 cents. It was 25 cents for any of these cards that are just considered chaff.
Yeah.
But since Collector's Product has hit the markets, they've upped that to double the price. So it's 50 cents a piece. But here's the other thing. Card Kingdom will pay you 35 cents for any foil rare.
Pretty much. Their buy list has actually gotten a lot more limited.
Yeah, but when you want to
bulk anymore.
Yeah, well, when they do buy bulk,
Okay.
they'll pay you 35 cents for any of these like foil rares, right? Because they're going to sell them for 49 cents. So it's whoop-de-doo. So not a lot of loss or risk taken when you want to sell back. But there are a lot of cards with unique effects. This is what we're talking about with like cards that don't have redundant effects that can, with the right card being printed in the incoming sets, have an effect that is, could result in the card increasing in price. So like Memorial Vault, I don't think anyone knows what this does. It's 3 and a red, tap, sacrifice another artifact, exile the top X cards of your library where X is 1 plus the mana value of the sacrificed artifacts. How many redundant like map tokens, clue tokens, food tokens, and stuff like that do you play in your decks? Right. Like how often do they pop up? Pretty often. So this says tap, impulsively draw a card. For just that residual effect. Like your deck's probably going to be built around it. I think this is worth it. It's 4 mana for an artifact that could potentially show you a much higher ceiling. So for 50 cents for the highest premium version, or like the premium version, which is a borderless foil, kind of worth taking the risk. Now, we talked about Mox Jasper on this show quite a bit as like almost like a joke, right?
Meme. Yep.
Yeah, as a meme. It's like $5 for one. I can't remember like what the price is right now. Let's take a look.
Ooh. I hope you picked them up at 5.
Hey, they were a little under 10 last time. So look at that. The price has already gone up. We're seeing more and more dragons like printed. I do know that this like alternate dragon border art was at 22 at one point. So yeah, it's nearly double that now. But there's a time and place for this to be played, and people are probably looking at this or probably bought when it was sub $10. When I said, remember that episode when I said it was sub $10 and you should just buy them because they're gonna be above that, like no problem. Yeah, well the time has already come. They're already over that by significant, like a few dollars over 10. So yeah, the cheapest you can get now is 14. But the big thing is, what I'm getting at is that these effects will become supported, whether it's now, whether it's 3 years, 4 years down the line. There's this card called Possibility Technician from Edge of Eternities. It's a really sick artwork. Yep. Honestly, I really like the artwork here. 2 and a red for a 3/3 Kavu Artificer. Whenever this creature or another Kavu you control enters, exile a top card of your library for as long as that card remains exiled. You may play it as long as you control a Kavu. It has 1 and a red to warp. So you can get it in for cheaper and then get a card. It's the same sort of like impulsive exile, but it feeds itself. There are going to be, I promise you, there are going to be more playable Kavu beyond just this set. Like the power
it's a
creep
historical archetype. At some point, they're going to do a fan service Kavu master.
Modern Horizons 4 or something like that.
Yeah, they're going to have Kavu. They did Mirror. They're going to do Kavu.
Now
they say, isn't the greater odds that there's going to be something that's like make a 1/1 changeling token?
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, there are a bunch of those actually, and this.
Yeah, with Lorwyn.
This goes very well with Changeling.
Yeah. So, and then you have Lumen Class Frigate, which is like, I don't think this particular spacecraft is going to be very good, but it's a very low floor, 1 and a white. So it's the cheapest Anthem effect we've ever seen, but it's 2 to station it to give all of your creatures +1/+1. And then 12 plus gives you a 3/5 flying lifelink. This is good if you're in that commander mentality and you're trying to build that. But here's a card in standard. I'll go through 2 more cards here in this at the very bottom of Edge of Eternities. Emissary Escort, 1 and a blue. This creature gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. You can spec this right now because affinity for artifacts is growing in popularity due to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Krang has affinity for artifacts. So now Krang is a 9 mana creature. So this creature gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. Huh. That's crazy. Wouldn't that be wild if this was a 9/4 for 2 mana? That's wild, bro. You kidding me? And then Coral of the Void. Coral of the Void. 3 and a black for an aura. This is a perfect commander card, by the way. This is amazing. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. No sacrifice clause. You just get to keep that thing. And then it has Void. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. So sure, you're in black already. There's just a decent chance you have a way to sacrifice, or the creature you're attacking with gets blocked, or the creature you bring from the graveyard gets blocked and it dies anyway. So then you'll get to keep and repeat. I think, and the artwork is amazing on this. So go through these older sets like Edge of Eternities, like Tarkir Dragonstorm, that you can look through. Like, yes, do not buy into like Ouroboros, right? Like, I don't think that's like a good idea right now. But any of these cards that are literally 50 cents or sometimes less if you buy the EX version, which you'll never really notice a quality dip, and just go through and be like, oh man, yeah, that card is very niche, is very specific, and I can build around that. All the Dragonstorms, like if you want to build a good dragon deck, they're all 50 cents or less. All these black bordered weird, like, what were these? Kindred paintings, like
I don't like those.
Clan painting type artworks. Narset Jeskai Waymaster is a good card and a great value engine.
Yes.
It's it's 49 cents for the borderless foil. All of the sagas, the borderless foil sagas, 49 cents. Severance Priest is really good. And then United Battlefront. This is the big one. This is the one I would be buying if,
financial
if
advice.
This was financial advice, but it's not because legally it's not.
It's hypothetically.
Yes.
Hypothetical financial.
This card already sees a ton of play in Standard, and people have somehow moved on from it just because like Simulacrum Synthesizer isn't the best deck in the format right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, something will come along. I promise you. In Pioneer, something will come along. In Modern, Collected Company is actually a deck.
This is
believe it or not.
This is the only collected company for non-creatures.
Yes.
At some point, and it is in the color that it should be in. At some point, it will find a home.
Non-creature, non-land permanents. I can imagine some planeswalkers maybe seeing play with this.
At some point, it will find a home. And
yes.
The home it finds will be good.
And it will not be 50 cents for this artwork in foil.
I promise.
So that is my strategy for going through and deciding. And this has been something I've been doing lately, which is against my best interests as someone who likes money. But going through and just being like, hey, throw these in the cart for a $2, like throw 4 of them in the cart, $2. It's such a small thing to like throw it, at something like this with such potential. Like I do think United Battlefront is something that you can look at and realistically be like, yeah, $2. I'll throw $2 at that. See what that turns into. Right? You could probably trade it for $2 because someone still thinks that this card is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, hey, but you can just go through and anything up to like $2 up per card is something that I would consider. Like Paranation is a really good commander card, and it's less than $1 for the borderless foil. Felithar is $1, stuff like that. And yeah, you can just go through. You're obviously not going to buy into like Voice of Victory from the set. It's a $50 borderless foil right now. It's disgusting. But like Mardu Siegebreaker is a really fun card. You should, if you haven't seen it, take a look at it. It's $1.50. Super, super low. All right. Any final thoughts, boys?
Yeah, you did make a comment. I want to just give a shout out to Annihilator, saying bracket 3 was some of the most fun games you can play. When everything is like aligned and we are in a similar power level, I cannot agree more.
Yeah.
We did an Orzhov game the other night. So I have kind of like 2 different play groups, and we kind of morphed into one for this evening. And I knew like they all had some Orzhov decks that I thought would be like properly balanced against one another. And that game was a ball. So I think it is in everyone's best benefit when you're having those like pre-game conversations to be as open and honest as possible, because you're going to have a better time. I don't remember who won that game. It was the most fun I've had playing Magic in a very long time. Like, I don't know. I agree. I think bracket 3 is like where it's at.
Yeah.
Sames. Yeah. It creates a restriction, and you get to just magnify. Like, that's the thing. You get to like take a strategy that you like and you just magnify the hell out of it. And the only thing you have as a restriction is basically what? No 2-card combos early in the game, and all the game changers in the world are you get 3 max.
Yep.
So build whatever you want. That's what bracket 3 is. It's refined. Just because someone blows you out doesn't mean it's bracket 4. Just means you weren't prepared. Just kidding. Just communicate clearly, everybody. All right. This has been the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering. Dr. Pepper shows in one take, no cuts, and what did we say? Redundancy.
Mirrorform.
And Mirrorform.
For sure.
Yeah. Teom, Luminous Enigma, Mirrorform.
And financial advice.
Yeah, not that. Legally, we can't say that. But if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications.
Like LeBron James.
Like LeBron James, star of Space Jam 2 and nothing else. You can also support us on all podcasting platforms by leaving us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead. You can become an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. Have your name turned Dr. Pepperhead on the Discord server. Like McOwen, Definitely Jeremy, Mono Greg, UWP Court, Will Rule, Ryan G, and Adam. You can also join the MoxStars fan club like Person and have your name turned lime green on the Discord server. For those who have defunct taste buds, I guess, Dr. Pepper isn't your jam. Sorry, Person. It's not a slam. It's just everyone's got their thing, you know? But that being said, you can also purchase the sickest tokens of all time on our Etsy store. And check those out. The link is down in the description below. It's truly the sickest tokens, and you can see them in play in our most recent gameplay video, which is up on the YouTube channel right now.
Yeah, we're not allowed to give financial advice. We can give deck building advice, which is what we've done this entire episode. These tokens make your deck better.
Absolutely. Yes, they do. All right. We're out of here. Peace.